Hey everyone, it's Monica. Welcome back to Homeschool Voices. Today's video is all about how to pick a homeschool curriculum. If you're overwhelmed by all of the curriculum choices out there, you're not alone. Everyone is overwhelmed. Everyone changes things up every year. I mean, should you do a secular or religious program? Should you have a nature-based program? Should it be Charlotte Mason or should it be classical? I don't know. But I do know the most important question that you need to ask before you even think about picking a curriculum. And that question is, what do I value in a curriculum? Or even better, what do I value in an education? I'm glad you asked because that's really important. I mean, after all, if you really value being outside and being in nature, it would be a colossal fail if you picked an online program. I know you want me to answer that question for you, but I can't because it's a very personal thing. But what I can do is to get your creative juices flowing by telling you what I value in an education. One of the first things that I want for my children is to be great readers. I mean, not just good, not okay, not capable of reading, but very fluent, great, amazing readers. Can read at a very high speed, have a very high vocabulary, have engaged with a million ideas because they've read books and discussed them with me. They are great spellers because they have just seen words so many times that they can't help but be. Just to be clear, I want my kids to be good readers, but not just that. I want them to know things, right? But more than knowing things, I want my kids to know to use their brain. I want them to be able to think because I see too many people in the world who are not capable of thinking. There are people that know things. They know a lot of facts. They have a lot of facts stored in their brain, but they don't seem to be capable of thinking logically. They get swept up in emotional appeals and they're very easy to influence because they don't know how to think. I want my kids to be able to think. The biggest thing is discussion. So whenever your kids read a book, discuss it with them. I don't mean every single book, but make a habit of doing it regularly. Even when they watch movies, even when they watch TV shows, have discussions, engage them. It's not scientific. There's no right or wrong questions. It's having a conversation, asking them their opinions about what the characters did, what would they do in that situation, or what did they like, or what did they not like? Why did they like it? Why did they not like it? Don't settle for simple, short answers. Get them used to the idea that you're going to keep having conversations with them all the time. So for me, reading is like number one, most important thing. And because it is the most important thing, that affects the homeschooling method or whatever curriculum that I would pick. And of course, we cannot forget writing. Writing is a super important way to teach kids to be more thoughtful, to engage their minds, because your ideas really are not that clear until you put them down in writing. I think that a lot of kids find the big reason that they have trouble writing is because they just don't have clear ideas or much of any ideas. And it really teaches them to start thinking, and that's a really good thing. It's important to think of what you value, but it's also important to clarify what you don't value and what you don't want in a curriculum. What do I not want? I don't want dry, boring material. And why is that? I think it's really easy as adults to say, yeah, well, life isn't always entertaining and fun, so they're just gonna have to learn some stuff. Yeah, that's nice, except they won't. You know, you can say that all day long, but if you give them dry, boring material and they hate it, they can remember it for a test, they can perform well, like a good little puppy, but as soon as that test is over, as soon as you move on from that material, if it's not the type of material that gets gone over constantly, like math, right? It's hard to forget math because you use those skills constantly. But if you learned something about the Civil War and it was presented in a really boring, unengaging way, then why would you expect your kids to even be capable of remembering that in the long run? They're not going to be able to. It is completely unrealistic to think that your kids are going to be able to do that. So what do I not want? Dry, boring material. I don't want textbooks. I actually did buy something that my son said looks like textbooks, and so he's not interested, which is fine because I'm lucky to live in California and we use charter funds, so those can go to somebody else. But those textbooks actually look interesting. I think if he gives those a try, they're interesting, but most textbooks are horrendously boring. And if at the end of the day, if my son finds those textbooky type books that I purchased horrendously boring, then they're not right for him. Then he just won't retain any of the information. There have been other books that I have required my kids to read, and they can't tell me anything because it just went in, well, I could say it went in one ear, out the other. I guess it went in their eyes and just, I don't know, dissipated out of their brain somehow. But it sure didn't stick. What do you do? How do you pick a curriculum when it's so hard? Because even a good curriculum in the parent's eyes is not necessarily what the kid is interested at the time and can be a complete waste of time and money. What do you do? My approach personally is to use a literature-based method of homeschooling. So if you look in the description, I have linked to a planner, and there's instructions. There's actually, I think, 4 different options of planner pages. There's a blank one, there's one intended for younger kids, middle-aged kids, and older kids. So what is a literature-based approach? I should probably tell you. So for math, we do use curriculums. I've mostly used Right Start. For my son, I've moved on to some algebra, more traditional algebra. But for everything else, books, library books, used books. Sometimes I use my charter funds and buy new books, but if I didn't have those funds, it would be used books, books from yard sales, library books. That's what I would do. And you don't need anything special for writing. They need to pick something that they want to write about. They need to write. You need to edit it. You know, there's no capitals, a comma should be here, there's no period. If you don't know those things, you need to find a simple book to teach yourself. There are lots of resources for that. Or whenever you run into something, if you're not sure, take the time to just look it up online for free and learn it, because it's a long process. It's the same information. Once you do it a few times and you look up, oh, how do I use a semicolon? How do I use a colon? How do I use ellipses? It sticks, and then you can help guide your children. The second thing is that even if I had no charter funds and we had a very small income, I could still give my child a world-class education, just with the library, basically, and, you know, buying some math workbooks occasionally on Amazon. It doesn't take a lot of money. A lot of people think they can't homeschool because they don't, in California, because they don't have those charter school funds. Or a lot of people in other states probably think, oh, I don't have enough money to homeschool. It doesn't have to be expensive. So there are so many resources to basically do it for free or for very cheap, at least. There you go. That's how we homeschool. That's what's important to us. What's important to you and what you value could be totally different, and that's 100% okay. What you do need to do, though, is to take time to think about that. Don't necessarily just copy what I'm doing. I would never expect you to do that. Everyone is different, and people have different needs, and they have different values and just different lives. So what works for me may not work for you. That is what works for me, though. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you like this video, please click thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please click subscribe and the notification bell next to it. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.